Hello folks, how are you all doing? This is Con Over coming to you with another episode of Company of Heroes 2 Fight Night. As you can see here down in the blue trunks playing the OKW, we have TOPKEK FreekBuff, which will either be honestly Freak or Buff in this particular case. However, you're spawning up here on the northern side, we have the USF forces played by Apr0sam0st0s. I'm just going to call him Apr0s. Apr0s, I'm sorry man if I can't really say your name very well, I apologize, but you know, well, as we are just getting notified immediately of the decision of Apr0s, I'm not very good sometimes with saying characters' names, you know, some personages out there, so please forgive me. I just admit that FreekBuff is way easier to say by comparison.
Ready for action.
And as we see kind of a standard opening coming out from the American player, we see these Sturmpyos capping as well as taking out the opportunity to use this awesome green cover from the American side. I do want to draw your attention to the decisions for commander choices, and if you really want to take a look at these abilities, just kind of pause your video right about now. So we have Heavy Cavalry Company for the Americans, definitely opening up that possibility to get the Sherman, excuse me, not the Sherman, the Pershing. And over here at FreekBuff, we have Breakthrough Doctrine for the Yog Tiger, Scavenge Doctrine with my favorite infiltration tactics and Flak Panzer, and Special Ops Doctrine, which is all about the STGs and those infiltration tactics, as well as that final Panzer V command tank. But what I really liked about the setup for Freak in this particular case was this little bulletin over here, which says that Volksgrenadiers receive less suppression. And now, if memory serves, I think the Americans actually just got the opportunity to start moving towards this new 50 cal, well not new, but this 50 cal machine gun team. And frankly, if they don't invest a little bit more into that, they might find themselves outgunned as the OKW moves forward here. Especially, I mean, take a look at this right now. The Sturmpyos are wrecking this rifleman squad. They were like 5 feet away and just unloaded. In the meantime, I missed over here, where were these rear echelons just getting wrecked as well? Good lord, were they in that little meeting engagement at the same time?
Capture point is under attack.
I'm not entirely sure, but right now it does not look so good for the American player. We have most of the western side of the map is all blue. Definitely feel a little more depressed about themselves right now. Feel a little bit inside out, if you get my drift. And as these Volksgrenadiers move in to kind of pick up the slack for those slackened Pyos, we see that the American player has really not invested at all in moving to the right side of this map. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's definitely an interesting idea to kind of flank around with this second rifleman squad, but there is not a lot of good stuff happening so far for the American player. In the meantime, as we kind of take a look at the map, which is Longoskaya, by the way, we do see the German players starting to cap up this eastern side as well, and with the forces at such a heavy mismatch. First of all, where are these rear echelons and what are they doing? Okay, they are kind of chilling over here to the right-hand side as well. I think at this point it might be better for them to kind of start spreading out a little bit more. And even though these riflemen have forced away these Volksgrenadiers back to base, we do see a tech structure coming out from our noble OKW player. And forgive me, you guys know, if you have seen my first couple of videos, I definitely like the OKW more than anything else. And if I had to guess what this is, well, I'm probably going to be wrong, but I'm kind of wondering if it won't be a mechanized regiment headquarters to kind of get out a quick Panzer II. Or maybe even something lighter? Maybe even a half-track? I mean, you don't really see half-track too often, but hey, why not? But tacking up might give this USF player the opportunity to get back into this game, as we just saw poor Franz over there get picked off by a shot through his neck, poor guy.
Enemies are swarming one of our emplacements.
But at the same time, oh, the fighting position's going up, interesting. It's always interesting whenever a rear echelon begins to make a fighting position, just because when rear echelons go into a fighting position, they get the opportunity to fire out those rifle grenades, which definitely increases their fighting capacity a great deal. But even as this meeting engagement happens over here on this right-hand side, it looks like they are definitely getting wrecked again. Will this be a pickup? Will this be a pickup? This will be close. This will be close. This will be close. Oh, those MP40s just run out of effective range. Brutal, though.
Capture point is being overrun.
The USF over here is working on that western side finally, starting to even up this map a little bit more. Though honestly, if they get a decap right here, it's going to be kind of awkward for the Americans. Oh, and there it is. even as his lieutenant comes on the field, and this might be enough to kind of shift the balance of power back into the American favor. And what do we have going down for the Germans? Yep, it was in fact the Mechanized Infantryman headquarters. I called that right. How fantastic is that? That never happens to me so far. Interestingly enough, these riflemen think to themselves, we'll protect ourselves from incoming fire by standing in front of this well. Yes, I do know, of course, that there is a giant piece of barbed wire around it, but I just do not wonder about the directional bonus of standing here when guys are firing at you from this direction. I heard grenade for some reason, but oh, that's why, because we have a basically one of those Molotov cocktails kind of forcing that lieutenant into different cover. And another one happening over here, and not really a whole lot coming from it. Looks like the Germans might get pushed off the field with a slight infantry advantage in the favor of the USF. But there is that Panzer II. Hooray! I am 2 for 2 right now. I'm just so proud of myself. I never called these things right. He's not okay. Good. He's just decap. Just cap again. All right, but it looks like these VPs are what 496 to 446. We definitely do see it's going to be the 2-to-1 cap in favor of the Americans, and about 3-2, and I'm lousy at counting anyway. To a 2-to-1 cap for the Americans, but bizarrely enough, half of their territories are out of supply right now because of this little cutoff right here. It is good for them. They're getting a lot of fuel income from this western side of the map. At the same time, their infantry squads are just getting cut to pieces. And with a Panzer II now on the field, the little Luke's coming with its 2-centimeter, essentially autocannon. Terrifying against infantry. It's definitely going to shift the balance of power back in favor of the Germans. I just watch these rear echelons over here because I'm going to get it wrecked in about 3 seconds. You know, frankly, I was thinking about vehicles I would have really liked to see in the original Company of Heroes, and the Panzer II was probably one of them. And wisely, those poor rear echelons retreat. In the meantime, however, these Volksgrenadiers threw a massive Molotov and just completely burned these poor guys out. It was a giant, like, hot dog burnout thing going on over there. Ooh, and apparently there was a mine placed over here, wiping out an entire rifle squad. 3 models, but at the same time, at this point in the game, it's definitely a high, not a high value target loss, but definitely a high manpower investment lost. Now, I'm not sure if I really like this particular engagement, and that's a good plan. Let's get out of there as quickly as possible. Don't want to lose 2 squads, especially with that Panzer II still kind of chilling around. Oh my gosh, and now the Germans just run into a mine. So we see squad wipes on both sides, and the benches are looking mighty thin for the Germans right now. Almost immediately, though, Freak pulls back up with a new Volksgrenadier squad, and with the Panzer II to kind of help press away. Oh, and here comes the captain now to force away that Panzer II, which is definitely an opportunity. But that 50 cal is going to get wrecked, son. Look at that. And it just completely wipes that. That's just brutal. Guys, I will mention, by the way, I know I have heard a lot of concerns from you guys for the quality of these videos. Please forgive me about my system. My system is a very old system. I was constrained for quite a while by financial concerns, but I will say that if you stick with me just a little bit longer, a new one is on the near horizon, and I'm totally excited to kind of share it with you guys. But as the kind of map kind of slows down for a couple of seconds, just take a quick overview as to see how things are going. I am a little bit surprised to see that Freak has not kind of pressured this cutoff again to kind of get rid of this fuel. But at the same time, he's capturing his own fuel over to the eastern side. And with what potentially looks like a trip cap coming in here, and that first bazooka missing, it does not look too wonderful for our friend, the captain. Just zoom in, and oh dear gosh, he gets forced away. He almost gets completely wrecked. And I'm not entirely sure why the Panzer is necessarily running from this, but okay. That Panzer, though, Jude, how many kills does he have already? He's got to be like 10. Yep, 10. He's already almost got Vet 1. And with the one more kill, he's going to pick that up? No, he's not. He's going to one more kill. Excuse me. And parked just outside the base, there's Vet 1, and he's just going to start to carve these poor American forces out.
Capture point is being overrun.
Brutal. Brutal. Hey, cool, but finally we have a second and even third rifle squad with bazookas, so maybe the Panzer II might have a limited use left in this battlefield. However, that being said, this has given the opportunity for the German player to get a lot of control back on this map. And I am a little bit surprised again to see that they're not getting a whole lot of teching up at this particular moment, or at least a second vehicle. But that might be kind of explained by a real lack of fuel income until just about now. Even then, it may seem like to be a kind of a minimal opportunity for this fuel over here to the east. As soon as they take one fuel, they lose the other one. And this BAR is definitely going to wreck things. As well as that, oh my gosh, that 50 cal is going to wreck things too. Good lord. These Pios, however, might be able to turn the tide on this lieutenant, which could definitely help field all concerns. So they don't take suppression. Ooh, they're going to get wrecked now. Get behind cover, boys. Get behind cover.
The enemy is overrunning one of
Again,
our captured
directional cover does not stop bullets. When the bullets are coming from what, behind the cover? Is that the way to put it? Oof. And that
Germans just cut off our supply lines.
we've seen Freek be very free with his investment into incendiary grenades, which I kind of like.
Someone get us out of here!
But already, as we see another truck coming out, we see these Volksgrenadiers going to get pushed back off the map. Which, what does this come up here? It's an M5 mine. Okay, so maybe these Strempires can kind of run in real quick and pick off
Capture point is
this
being
mine.
overrun.
Or not. It was kind of an interesting decision. I guess never mind. Oh wow, never mind. I was wrong. Good lord. Running in that close is definitely the best option.
A capture
And that's definitely not what you want to lose either. It looks like those Strempires might also even pick up a bazooka. They might even pick up a bazooka. Hint, hint. Nudge, nudge. Cough, cough. Yes, I know it's very, very tempting to pick off that captain.
ready and on the field.
And we see Rangers getting called in for Apr0sam0st0s.
Point is being overrun.
Definitely something you definitely want to kind of consider, but at the same time, I never remember. Are they really that great against infantry? It might be. And those Tommy guns can definitely be quite a massive boost in damage. Could that be enough to swing around these forces a little bit? I don't know. I don't know, but maybe, just maybe. These Strempires will kind of hang out. Oh, okay, time to go. Time to go. Time to go. Time to. There we go. Thank you. You're not gonna fight off 9 guys with M1A1s, especially with the potential for them to pick up those Tommy guns. Those guys will rip you to shreds in a second. But all right. So what do we have here? Where is the state of the game? It is 480 to 312 right now, still ticking in the Germans' favor. But it looks like that might swing around in just a second if those Rangers ever get back into this VP point right here, this strategic point. Come on, Apr0sam0st0s, boo boo. Guys, stay with me on this big guy. And at the meantime, we do see the German players been pushed back a little bit. We also see him losing the western side of the map as well, which is kind of a problem. Where is that grenade? There we go again.
Crowds are sniffing around
1 second.
our asses. Tactical point being captured.
Brutal. Brutal, once more. This loss of the bazookas, by the way, definitely means that this firepower advantage that the rifles had over the Volksgrenadiers isn't gone necessarily, but it definitely is heavily impacted. I am going to be interested to see where this SWS goes. He can afford either one. But the lack of fuel definitely puts a damper on what you might be able to use with the Schwerpanzer. That being said, Freek is floating an absolute ton of manpower. Over 1,100 right now, definitely on his way to 1,200. I'm a little surprised he's not doing something like investing in, heck, I don't know, another squad or two. I'm not going to say an anti-tank weapon, because frankly there's been actually no vehicle play whatsoever from Apr0sam0st0s. There's probably not going to be until this Pershing comes out. That's quite a ways off. I mean, that's a long ways off. But alright. We hear that another location's been set. Is it the... No, it's not. Where's the tech building? It looks like it's be Battle Group headquarters. Okay, I'm not sure I can find fault with this. In fact, I kind of agree with it, considering how rough things have been for Freek so far. However, he has now made a commander choice. We do see special ops coming out of him, which means that those infiltration grenades are going to be a giant boost and firepower looking forward here. Those STGs are definitely a welcome boost to damage as well, but to get those he will have to go and invest in a Schwerpanzer. Headquarters, that is, excuse me.
to a static building.
So what will come out of this? I'm not sure if we really want to get a whole lot of that. Let me just check in real quick. Yeah, half track. Yeah, not a lot of stuff was really going to come out of this. Maybe a support gun. But considering the kind of more or less mobility, and now all three officers teched up to for the U.S. player, I'm surprised that the U.S. player's been able to turn this around as effectively as he has. 15 minutes in, 450 to basically 310, and the Americans are enjoying a massive army advantage. But that might change with... Oh wow, he manages to barely escape. That would have been quite a loss to lose a two-star vet rifleman to kind of first infiltration grenades, as well as a what's the term calling, an incendiary grenade. But now the Panther has been called, is definitely available, not going to be called in. We have another 225 fuel, so we got what, another 3-4 minutes on that? Unless they pick up this fuel to the west, at which point that could speed things up quite a bit. And this Panther II, definitely a brave fellow. I'm not sure I would have rushed in quite that far. Because you pretty much assume already that there's a lot of marauding riflemen around. But apparently he's lucking out. There's not a whole lot for him to kind of come across over here. Just backing up for a second, we see an ambo finally come in. An uber late ambo at 15-16 minutes. We see the rest of our troops kind of like... excuse me. But the rest of these Americans kind of get forced away. And the map begins to once more turn back in favor of the Germans. I'm surprised we need to pick up this strategic point right here before everything can really kind of reset. Maybe that's not the right term for it. But we do see what amounts to nearly a... Where are we? Oh, geez, that bazooka round definitely hurt it hardcore. But we see kind of more of a homeostatic map over here. Here we come. We see an off-map smoke barrage. That really definitely a little bit injuring to these poor Volksgrenadiers, but they are okay with having a tan. Here comes another incendiary grenade. Not sure I agree with the placement on that necessarily so much. I think I probably would have waited until there's a little bit more of an opportunity. And these grenades do absolutely nothing. And wisely, those Volksgrenadier retreat back into the dark from whence they came. But I imagine any second now we will see a Command Panther come out in about, what, 10 seconds, 15 seconds? And he's got enough for the command tank. And where is it? Where is it? There we go. So the Panther 5 command tank, as the Americans overload this right side of the map, these Volksgrenadiers again have to bolt. And I'm definitely seeing a little bit better deployment of resources than I've seen in a lot of games recently, with the Americans pressing both sides of this rather admittedly small map in the first place, concentrating forces on one side, but at the same time not neglecting the other side of the map. Also interesting to note, we finally have the upgrades on these Rangers, which is why you'll see these guys wreck these Panzer Grenadiers. I keep saying it, Volksgrenadiers. These guys already lost 3 models for the trade of 2, and frankly, they wouldn't even have lost those guys had it not been for the Panther 5. And there's a support gun. Okay, interesting choice. Interesting choice. Taking fire. You're freaking Panzer, man. Get up there, son. Come on, son. But it looks like these Americans are not going to have quite the chutzpah that's needed to kind of get close to this Panther, hiding inside this building to shoot a bazooka at it. You can see it does practically nothing to this Panther. Heck, if you're lucky if it doesn't, completely and totally just ping off. And there's an M57 that got built about 8-9 minutes ago. And the poor Strempios that have to bolt now. Where was I? So yes, that M57 that got made a long time ago and had absolutely no impact on the game whatsoever. Understandably, it might have been because there had just been such a huge presence by that now 2-star vet Panther II. That being said, might have been something of an overreaction considering the entire, metric butt-ton of bazookas that are on the field. And now with this Panther kind of definitely being a massive bully, even against the captain as well as these other troops over here, I'm actually kind of surprised to not even see the Panzer II back in the mix. Where is that little Panzer II? He's back in this back in the base right now. I think that Freak might be getting himself a little bit caught up in the macro.
90-day wonders falling.
Excuse me, with micro rather. And that's going to be quite an issue if Apr0sam0st0s ever gets the materials to call in this Pershing tank. There is not enough AV on the part of Freak. I'm a little concerned about his long-term viability options if that Pershing does get called in. And it will, trust me, because there's no point to really picking heavy cavalry regiment other than that. But interestingly enough, we have the 20mm emplacements laying down a blanket of fire on those Americans. And that Panzer II, at long last, with how many bajillion kills is it right now? Not what I meant to do. Let's try this back again. Sorry about that, guys. Hit the wrong button there for a second. There we go. And make this bigger. There we go. Even better. So now this Panzer II's got 27 kills. Not the most I've seen at this particular point in the map. My computer has a brain fart for a couple of moments. I'm kind of surprised to not see these guys over here being much more aggressive in their play. But that is a forward retreat point in the first place, and with a very interesting positioning of this M57 as well as this
We're losing a capture point.
ambo. I don't like where he's keeping this ambo right now. I really don't. But ooh, another grenade coming out. Another incendiary grenades are left, right, and center.
Capture point.
I do have to be pretty happy about how
Supply line. Front units are being hung out to dry.
that's cute. About how Freak has been using his munitions. He's been very active with his munitions. I would definitely agree with that. But his commander choice is not getting quite as much as I was hoping for. I was really hoping to see a lot more Obersoldaten squads. But it's going to be a while again because those headquarters are expensive, man. And with that Sherman coming on the field, I don't know how well it's going to immediately go for the German player. He's got a very, like about a 60% strength Panther. I don't even know what to tell you, man. I don't know what the hell you're going to do with those recruits. And now the Sherman, and all these bazookas, and the 57mm. I'm a little concerned. Of course, with shots like that, we do see kind of an interesting meeting engagement happening right here as the USF tries to drive a sharp wedge between everything of the Germans. And lucky that didn't wipe at least 2 models.
Supply line just got cut off.
But also fair to note, at the same time, we actually do see finally a Pack 40, or rather Raketenwerfer coming in for the OKW, just in time, considering the fact that these Volksgrenadiers over here got spanked by both the Rangers as well as that M4A3 Sherman. And this might be the best opportunity that the Germans will have to get rid of that Pershing. I assume that with the Sherman. Sorry guys, it's a little late. It's been a long week. Just started a new job. So yeah, long week. Oof, and that Sherman is uber lucky. Oh, never mind. It brews up, and those poor bastards get fried.
Medium tank.
I'm not sure, and hindsight is 2020, but I'm not sure I definitely would have gone for the Sherman on that one. I probably would have just saved and picked up the Pershing. Yeah, Pershing's a little slower, but at the same time, Pershing has way more firepower, way more armor, and way more stayability. So now, even though we have a 50% Panther, and my computer continues to have issues somehow for this particular moment,
They're ready. Send orders.
this Panther is, first of all, now 1-star vet, which is not much, but combat blitz, which will give it a little more survivability in the long term. And even though the U.S. is capturing these strategic points, and good lord, you really should back up that captain, because one bad round you're going to lose an officer. Oh, and he won't even need that apparently, because that Panzer II is going to pick him up. Come on. Oh, you got to be kidding me. You've got to be kidding me. He gets out? Wow. That's impressive. Even these Volksgrenadiers are probably going to get out too. Watch this. There's nothing sacred anymore. Whatever happened to certain death? Jeez. In the meantime, Apr0sam0st0s moves in for another armored vehicle, but it is not the Pershing. Instead, he's bringing in an M10 Wolverine. Or am I calling the absolute wrong game? Because again, I might be thinking of Company Heroes 1. We'll find out in just a second, folks, and please forgive me for if I miscast that. We'll see in just a moment. But these Panzer IIs is now been completely and totally given a new lease on life as these riflemen decide to fire at... There we go, finally. Finally at these Sturmpyos instead. And just as swiftly, those Sturmpyos are pushed off by the Rangers. And the U.S. just lost something. I think it was maybe a rifle squad? A rear echelon squad, one or the other. But what we do see is kind of this very, very awkward kind of bulge salient kind of setup to this entire map. Yeah, in the meantime, this looks like it's going to be a squad wipe. Oh, and I called it wrong again. Phew, we are getting back to how it should be, right? Nope, I should have trusted myself. I was like, you know what? I think it's a Jackson. No, I think it's a Wolverine. So we have a Jackson coming on the field. Should definitely put a lot more fire onto that Panther, as well as give that Panzer II a lot more to think about. But it looks like right here, maybe, just maybe, this AT gun's going to get picked up. Or failing that, oh, it's going to be quite a pickup. Dive a little more, dive a little more, dive a little more. Dude, Ambo, it screams for its death. Oh my gosh, and that Ambo gets a new lease on life, but meanwhile that 50 cal doesn't though. Then again, maybe that's probably a better option to kind of like back it off a little bit.
The enemy is overrunning one of our
And the Jackson understands right now why you do not get into an immediate gun battle with a Panther, especially with side armor. Oof. And that infantry support gun is starting to not prove its weight in... Excuse me. And that infantry support gun is starting to not show its weight in gold, but definitely improving the lives of Germans everywhere. And once again, Freek is now floating again a huge amount of everything. I have to say, I'm not particularly impressed with the way he's handling his resource management. And maybe he's just kind of getting caught up in microing that Panther, which is definitely understandable, because that Panther is pretty much what's going on with this map. That Panther is, full stop, what's keeping Freek on top of what's going on here. Yes, don't get me wrong. Adorable Panther too. 30 kills, definitely worth its weight in steel and gold. But that Panther is what's chasing around this infantry left, right, and center. And we do finally see the supply half-track coming in here to tech up finally to the 4th building at 28 minutes in. But that might be the nail in the coffin, kind of moving forward here. Not nail in the coffin, might be a little bit too soon to call it nail in the coffin. Because that Pershing, if it ever finally finds the field, it will definitely change the field immeasurably. In the meantime, however, though, this Jackson beating up on this poor Panzer II until the Panzer II calls in its big brother. And that Panther says, you don't knock around my little brother like that. Okay, charge him. It screams, take out this Panther. Okay, that would have been an interesting... I would think I probably would have gone for the prioritized vehicles, but it might not even matter. Oh my gosh, and that Jackson continues to slip away. Ooh, this Panther taking a lot of fire. Is he going to sack the Panther for this? He might not even have to. Destroyed engines. So, rear armor hit again. It's time to back out, dude. And of course, Combat Blitz is popped. The damaged engine. Might that still be enough to get away? It may not be. We'll see how this goes. I think if I were Freek, I'd be throwing that Panzer II right back into the mix. I wouldn't care if I lost that thing. That Panther command tank is way more important, and unfortunately, it goes down. But the nice thing about being so crazy amounts of resources is that he immediately calls another one back in. At the same time, he loses a lot of veterancy, loses a lot of opportunity for that. But hey, now the German player definitely has a major advantage on the map. No armored fighting vehicles for our noble American player, and this SWS is going to get wrecked. Cannot necessarily say I agree with the placement and the movement of those trucks there, but Again, like I've said to you before in other videos, these guys are way better players than I am, I hope. And if they're not, well, maybe they should try something new, you know, slumming it a little bit. But alright, as the battle kind of takes a quick breather, let's take a look at the map one more time, just to kind of recap where we are right now. The Germans are definitely up, and in a not firm control of the map, but a decent control of the map. They control that western fuel point, while the Americans really have no fuel whatsoever. They have a couple strategic points, and that's about it. These munition posts for the Americans, you would think, is not going capped whatsoever, which is a little surprising to me. Then again, given the kind of somewhat depleted squads that they've got, I am surprised not to be a little more aggressive about maybe move this 50 cal in to at least pick this up at the same time it's holding down this fort, so to speak. And in fact, it might even be a better option too, because at that point it clears this entire section. But even as I say that, the Americans pick up the eastern fuel source, so now we have equal amounts of fuel coming in, 364 to 211. The Germans are still in easy control of this game, and assuming,
Tank support is here.
let's try this again. There you go. Cool. And assuming we can finally get anywhere near that fuel, we will see a very, very impressive late game coming in from the Germans. Unfortunately, getting there seems for some reason to be such a long thing coming. And I continue to wonder why perhaps you didn't go for a much more aggressive commander choice, because, you know, the infiltration grenades have been great, don't get me wrong. Help clear out a lot of opportunities, but he's not really using a whole lot other than the Panzer command tank. And guys, I am so sorry for the way that my computer continues to have these slightly herky-jerky moments here, but hopefully it shouldn't translate too badly into the video. Anyway, what was I saying? Yes, so the Special Operations Command, I'm surprised it's not really getting utilized to its fullest capabilities. That being said, let's take a quick look at unit preservation. We see 3 units on the American side at full veterancy. Nothing to sneeze at all. But on the German side, we see 3 squads already at full veterancy, as well as a 4-star vet Panzer II, a 3-star vet Volksgrenadier, and a 1-star vet infantry support gun, excuse me. So while it's not the most vetted up army, once you get anywhere close to, and good lord, we just lost that poor Panzer II. I was going to say, once that Panzer II gets 5 stars, it'd be a complete beast. It'd be impossible to stop. Unfortunately, it does not seem like it's going to be the case for much longer. And that captain manages to luckily escape death by the nearest of margins. And then a Kettenwerfer might be enough to kind of back off those 2 fighting vehicles, but here comes a smoke barrage down on top of them. It's going to burn them quite a bit. And infiltration grenades, the poor Volksgrenadiers decide to blunder right back into their own weapons fire. Whew. Pardon me guys, but take a quick sip of my beverage to slake my thirst. Alright, cool. So Grenadiers are finally upgraded, which means that we have another Panzer Schreck on the scene. And given the kind of profligate use that has been going on so far from FreekBuff, I'm actually kind of impressed even as munitions to spend on Panzer Schrecks. Alright, and as the Americans kind of push down over here, we see another Kettenwerfer come out. Kind of an interesting choice. I would say that the Panther would be a little bit enough to do that, but I guess Freek might feel a little bit differently. Therefore, I would say one for Kettenwerfer and the Panther, that is. But I guess Freek feels a little bit differently. And then now this SWS continues to kind of sit idle. Dude, throw that Panther headquarters down somewhere. Gotta do something, man. That was just, it's a wasted unit.
Our supply lines have been cut. Americans are making a push.
Even though these Americans kind of continue to kind of dominate the eastern side of the map now, we have east versus west definitely going on here. A real battle of battleground states, if you know what I mean. And who's taking fire? Is that? Oh my gosh, that 57 mil and the 50 cal. Definitely an interesting opportunity here. And surprisingly enough, I guess I went down before. Those poor Rangers. As interestingly enough, we do see these Vet 5 Sturmpios. And let me remind myself, I kind of forget what they have as Vet 5. Risk of repairing and equipped lethality. Yeah, see, A 5-star, okay, this is one of the major reasons I love playing OKW. It's because, yes, they do get a little bit less in terms of resources in the long term, but their veterancy bonuses are incredible. And you have these so, like, uber dynamic troops to kind of take on the somewhat much more conventional forces, might be a better way to put it. I'm not entirely sure that's a great way to put it, but it might be something like that. In the meantime, somehow that Panther tank decides to miss. It takes fire and stuff in a 57mm, which really, as if I remember correctly, in the war was not all that effective. More like defective. Ayo. But as we are approaching the 35-minute mark, the score is 358 to 164, and we see a large media engagement, and this Raket Morpher is going to buy it. Which would be quite a good pickup for the American player. All he's going to do is pick up one single model, one model. Oh, good gosh, how does he get out? How does he get out? I don't even know. And kind of an interesting position over here for this the Sheriff Panzer headquarters. And finally, we do see some Obersoldaten coming in. Thank you, Lord. Once you see that coming in, we will see a definite mismatch happening again in the infantry fights.
Cut our supply chain. A resource sector has been isolated.
Which needs to happen because right now, those Germans are starting to get outclassed by not really a whole lot, but just like a lot of local superiority. He's getting thrown piecemeal. The OKW forces are going piecemeal into the fight. And instead, these US forces are just dominating, just blobbing up and just doing what they need to do. Even with this random squad of rear echelons over here. It looks like they're mounting a BAR. Yeah, rear echelons of the BARs. Interesting opportunities. But these Pios might be able to chase these guys off yet. And never mind. Here comes a Sherman. But even as that happens, take a look back over here to the east as these poor Volksgrenadiers are fighting all heaven and earth. And does not manage to pick up that major. That would have been quite a coup and definitely worth the investment of time and resources. And this 57mm is still out of range. Yes, it is. There we go. Oh, he's just barely in range. Never mind, he'll lapse in the face of danger. You know, these poor Rangers are like, bro, we have nothing to be able to scratch that tank. Are you kidding me? And with that, looks like the Germans are going to go up 2-1, and good lord, that was just a magical hit
The medium tank.
on that Jackson. And another Jackson goes down, so the American forces are not having a whole lot of luck with their fighting vehicle opportunities here today. I continue to wonder why they continue to invest at all into Shermans and Jacksons when they have a Pershing just chilling off to the side. I don't know. Anyway, so where are we? So we have a Panther 8, Trescan, a Thompson machine gun come up over here on the Rangers, which is not unexpected at all. It's a fairly standard thing at this point. Excuse me. And while we're taking a break, let's take a quick look over here at this Panther command tank. No stars of veterancy just yet, but with all of its attendant squads pretty much all the way vetted up. Just one squad that's not got a whole lot of veterancy. And did he cancel that squad of Obersoldaten, or did he lose that already? I guess he canceled it. Not sure why. Maybe make something else, bro? Anything? Really? Anything? I don't know. Would it be? I don't think it's happening. Oof, and that Captain Burford is going to take a lot of fire again, too.
The Americans have cut our supply line.
Bro, who cares at this point? Alright, and once more we do see that these American forces are definitely clumped up, but they're sitting way too passively in my mind. And maybe that's an issue with their army composition. Definitely have a little bit more static opportunities as opposed to mobile attack. Now the Germans are similarly kind of immobilized by their own support weapons. They're not allowing that to really shackle them. They're using it to pretty much as the Germans used it back in World War II. Well, besides losing a squad of infantry right now, stack anti-tank weapons to kind of support your tank forces. Send the tank forces out to engage hardcore, which is what's happening right now. You'll probably see this Sherman go down. There goes marked target on there as well, so you'll see a very, very quick Engagement, one more shot. Oh, bro. Unlucky. Unlucky. And we continue to see Freak not really invest a whole lot of opportunity in his, ooh. This could be interesting. These Rangers go down. Well, we see him using this tech structure much more for, what is the word I'm looking for? Really, just for this kind of mobile gun turret more than anything else, which kind of surprises me. But alright, 352 to 116. The German player has definitely owned this map so far. And I continue to be a little bit surprised by some of the decisions made by our ally players in his last couple of matches. Of course, even as I say that, the Americans continue to kind of dominate the territory game, but that might change if someone ever decides to actually utilize his resources. 1,200 manpower. He's got another 25 supply cap he can utilize. He's got almost 170 fuel. And now at the same time too, Apr0sam0st0s, bro, boo boo, love muffin. You have 280 fuel. Either use it or lose it. And I feel like honestly a second legitimate fighting vehicle, not another Sherman, not another Jackson, get this stupid Pershing. I definitely feel like that would be a much better option moving forward with this, but right now it looks like our noble American player is kind of just butting heads again and again in the same direction here. Before it starts to blunder right into this Sherman, and maybe, just maybe, he'll get a position to get a shot or two off. Oof, then again, ooh, and he got that poor anti-tank crew gets wiped. Take a moment to just kind of fall back here for a second, though. This captain, in the meantime, looks like he's trying to fight off these Volksgrenadiers. But the Volksgrenadiers basically say, my Panzertrek is bigger than your bazooka. And in this case, size does matter, my friends, so you better retreat right now. But alrighty, we continue to kind of sit back and forth and just kind of watch this kind of very, very strange map happen. I'm going to speed up for a couple seconds. Just to see if these guys are going to continue to butt their heads against everything, because right now we just see these kind of very interesting meeting engagements and then nothing happens. I'm just kind of surprised by it. Oh, we'll just back this up again. Alright, so where is this smoke barrage coming off? I'm guessing, I'm thinking, yep, to pull this Sherman out of harm's way. And come on, please, just don't buy anything for another minute. The second you buy a Pershing, so many of your issues are going to be over. And I think Apr0sam0st0s might have heard me. I think he might have heard me, so I'm pretty sure he's going to pick up a Pershing pretty darn soon. The question is, will this extremely, extremely late Pershing be too late? I don't know. I don't know, but I kind of feel like he's definitely going for that in just a moment. So let's put your fins or hands or whatever together. Freak, get the troops out of negative cover, please. And then, oh my gosh. And, and that's why you don't sit in negative cover.
We can now deploy a smoke screen
Oof.
to blind the enemy.
Ouch. Ouch.
We got a new unit ready and on the field.
There we go. Finally, after 44 minutes, a Pershing comes in. To face off with two Shreks, Panther, and it looks like a Panzer IV coming out of here. Model of which I'm not entirely sure, but that's neither here nor there, I really think, at the moment. Now, what might be a good thing, hopefully for Freak to do, is to pick up at least one of these infantry squads. Unfortunately, this seemed to be the case. Instead, we had the Pershing kind of coming in and saying hello, in the only way he knows how. Never mind. There goes one of those bazookas, and some of the AV issues. So the AV issues, oh, just barely didn't take wait long enough. So the AV issues for the Panther are now gone. The infantry support gun is now up to 3 stars. I am impressed it's lasted as long as it has. Interesting decision. And I didn't even notice this, but this Pioneers picked up a BAR. Interesting, interesting, interesting. Unfortunately for the 57mm, which is for some reason not set strictly to fire on vehicles, there's a slight hill. I'm going to show you guys that real quick. It's a slight dip right here, a little defilade for those German forces. Of course, with these Rangers coming up, these Pioneers may not last longer than a few seconds. And using a incendiary grenade to kind of cover their retreat, which is a great idea here. And the Schwerpanzer, which I'm surprised is actually lasting as well as it is. We could actually see the death. The death of the captain? Will we see the death of a captain? Or just death of a salesman? No, we see the death of a captain. And folks, there goes another anti-vehicle issue for the Germans. But at the same time, we see the Schwerpanzer headquarters is going to take a lot of fire from this Pershing, as well as this Sherman. And I'm maybe not be long for this world. Then again, this Pershing, again, the Sherman may not belong for this world either. One more shot. And there goes the Sherman, good lord. And that's the reason the things were called death traps, folks.
Medium tank was just lost.
I'm not sure if this will survive or not, we'll see. With the Raketen and the Panther and the HQ, that Pershing may need to back off as well. And with the Panzer IV, that definitely needs to back off. If there's any kind of aggressive play here, now is definitely the time, but not with... Thank you. So not with the Panzer IV. Oof. And guys, that might be the nail in the coffin.
Lost a heavy tank.
That would be the nail in the coffin. I get the feeling that might have been, just because of the way that these armies are now composed against each other. Yeah, infantry itself is a little bit brutal. For the American side, 2 machine guns, the Rangers are up close, and the riflemen for kind of that mid-range thing going on here. And with the ammo over here to the right-hand side, it's definitely a much closer retreat position.
Point is being overrun.
Especially with the Major to kind of establish the whole fallback thing himself. There's a little annoying bugger right there. However, as of right now, there's really no legitimate AV threats to keep this Panther and this Panzer IV from just wrecking face. So maybe what I'll do is I'll just speed this up again, because I don't see this happening, changing a whole lot until maybe another 600 comes through.
110 smoke strike can be delivered to cover our men.
These Rangers continue to kind of own the field for the moment.
We're losing a capture point.
And maybe what's happening is that Apr0sam0st0s is waiting for another Pershing opportunity. However, that might be a little bit too late, and I'm a little bit concerned that this is actually not being repaired as well. Especially when he clearly has the resources to do it.
We just lost a unit.
And the Rangers, who have just been honestly wiping the floor with all those German units before, get wrecked. I mean, you're not going to last up to a lot of firepower from 2 different tanks, as well as the Pioneers, as well as the Schwerpanzer HQ.
Combat unit ready for action.
And there comes that second Pershing. Let's see if this one has a little bit better luck than the last one did. I have to admit, I'm a little bit skeptical. Even more skeptical again of the fact that this dumb thing is not getting repaired quickly enough. And while I might have missed to mention, have not mentioned it, radio silence, definitely an interesting choice to use that right now. And I'm continuing to wonder why he's not getting Obersoldat right now so he can start using stupid STGs.
One of our capture points.
Especially the long range, good lord, they're going to wreck face if they do that. But where was I? Pershing... Choice of radio silence? Whatever, not going to focus on that too much then. It looks like somebody else just went down as well. Good gosh, another machine gun crew just died. And although we have another Ranger squad kind of shifting down here, I'm not sure they're going to be able to hang up against... Oh, they can, but only with that help from those so nice 50 caliber machine gun operators. But now he's going to charge right back in for that Schwerpanzer again, and this actually might be enough to pick it up. But with this Panther command tank appearing in the rear, it might be the last thing this Pershing ever does. And that smoke screen actually just saved any more damage from that Panther. And yeah, guys, Apr0sam0st0s goes and calls it quits on the end of that one. Understandably so. Kind of an interesting match heading out there. I was a little surprised. It was a little bit anticlimactic the way it ended, unfortunately. I will say that I was really hoping that Apr0sam0st0s was going to call in a lot more early Pershing than what he did. Or what she did, forgive me. At the same time, Freek definitely had a very interesting decision-making process and kind of placing this Schwerpanzer over here. And I wasn't thinking it was going to work too well. Excuse me. So I was thinking you put a anti-tank guns, you know, here or in a contested area here and just start laying siege to the HQ, but I was happy to be proven wrong on that one, so well done to both players, and that's going to be the end of this particular video for me. So guys, thank you so much for tuning in. If you like what you see, comment, subscribe, like, give me lots of feedback. I'm happy to hear from you guys, and I'll hope to do this again for you guys real soon. This is Colin Ulrich signing off. You all have a great evening.